The Iron Claw. We've done a video or two about it on this channel. Like every biopic, a lot of things in real life were changed for the movie. Now that our friends in the United Kingdom have had a chance to see the film about the Von Erich family, it's a good time to take a look at a few of them. Not all of them, just 5 of them. So, here's 5 things that were changed in the Iron Claw. And, obviously, spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie yet. Number 1, missing family members. The Iron Claw is more a movie about a family that happened to be in pro wrestling than about pro wrestling, but a lot of family wasn't included in the movie. Most notably absent was Chris Von Erich, the youngest son of Fritz and Doris, who died in 1991. Health issues prevented Chris from doing much in the ring, but Chris is still remembered fondly by world-class championship wrestling fans. Early drafts of the script did include Chris, but director and writer Sean Durkin made the difficult choice to leave him out of the final product, feeling it was one too many tragedies for the film. Chris is the most talked about exclusion, but he is not the only one. While Kevin Von Erich's sons Ross and Marshall were represented in the movie, his oldest children are actually his 2 daughters, Kristen and Jill, who were born in 1981 and 1985 respectively. David and Mike Von Erich were both married, though the movie portrays both as bachelors until their deaths. David's first marriage also produced a daughter, Natasha, that died in her infancy. There was a brief glimpse of Carrie's wife in the background of one scene, but no mention of his daughters Holly and Lacey, the latter of which had a brief wrestling career of her own. And number 2, Kevin's bare feet. In the movie, Kevin Von Erich is shown beginning his wrestling career in his bare feet. Kevin is well known for his choice of wrestling barefoot, but he started his career wearing traditional wrestling boots. It wasn't until sometime in 1982 when Kevin decided to leave the boots in the locker room and adopt the style opponents became all too familiar with at times. Even today, Kevin still prefers to go barefoot or wear sandals. Kevin's son Marshall also made the choice to wrestle barefoot, saying he became so accustomed to it, boots are no longer an option. Kevin says knee surgeries when he was younger made wearing the boots uncomfortable and too heavy, but it may have been as much about home life as it was anything. All of the Von Erichs grew up running around barefoot and usually trained in bare feet, so it seemed natural for at least one of them to cast the boots aside in their wrestling career. While several other wrestlers have gone bootless in the ring, for world-class fans, the sight of bare feet always brings about visions of Kevin Von Erich, while seeing old footage of Kevin in boots is always a little odd. Number 3, start times. When the movie starts concentrating on the brothers, it picks up in 1979 with Kevin already wrestling. It doesn't make it clear how long Kevin had been active at that point, but we do see David start his career shortly after in a match tagging with Kevin. Carrie enters the ring after the U.S. boycott of the Moscow Olympics, which was announced by President Jimmy Carter in January 1980. Mike makes his debut after David's death in 1984, with immediate comparisons to David because of their similarities. None of those are quite accurate. For the record, Kevin debuted in August 1976 with a victory over Paul Pershman at the Northside Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas. David made his debut 2 years earlier than portrayed in the film with a win over George McCreary at a spot show in Fairfield, Texas in June 1977. Carrie's debut was also 2 years earlier than shown in the movie, with his first match at Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum in Fort Worth in July 1978 with a DQ win over Gary Hart. Mike actually made his debut more than 2 months before David's death, defeating Skandar Akbar at the Thanksgiving Day Star Wars card at Reunion Arena in Dallas in November 1983. Number 4, Carrie and Mike. While the deaths of Jack Jr. and David are presented as accurately as they could be for the movie, some creative liberties were taken with Mike's death in 1987 and Carrie's death in 1993. The movie doesn't completely ignore the subject of drug use that may have played a role in both deaths, but also doesn't focus on it too harshly. Legal problems both Mike and Carrie had that many believe were also a factor in the decision both wrestlers made to take their own lives were not touched on at all in the film. What fans really found odd was the way the deaths themselves were presented. The scenes leading up to Mike's death were actually fairly close to what happened. In the movie, he takes several pills and walks away from the house with a sleeping bag to be found later in an open field. In reality, Mike went to a nearby lake where he was found several days later. For Carrie, in the movie, he took his life right outside his parents' house and was found by Kevin, who then fought with Fritz. In reality, Carrie drove a Jeep deep into his father's land and was later found by his father. Like in the movie, Carrie used a gun that belonged to Fritz. Number 5, the music. This is something that was somewhat out of the filmmakers' hands, at least while staying in their budget. At a time not every wrestler had entrance music, the music used for the Von Erichs can still spark memories among world-class fans. Ted Nugent's Stranglehold accompanied Kevin to the ring, while Texas by Tanya Tucker was David's entrance music. LaGrange by ZZ Top meant all the Von Erichs were coming to the ring together, probably for a 6-man tag match. None of those were in the movie, but Tom Sawyer by Rush, which was Carrie's entrance music, is used prominently in both the Iron Claw and trailers for the movie. And it wasn't just the Von Erichs. The Freebirds not only appropriately used Leonard Skinner's Freebird, but were also ahead of their time with their own original music with Bad Street USA. Iceman King Parsons using We Are Family by Sister Sledge, and a dynamic duo using Bad to the Bone by George Thorogood are just some of the memorable entrance themes from the time. Since then, adjusted copyright laws have made using mainstream music a little more complicated, though it does still happen. At the time, listening to your local radio station might suddenly bring about visions of Kevin, David, and Carrie making their way to the ring. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of 5 Things. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, check out the 5 Things playlist, or check out one of the other videos on the channel. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, not necessarily in that order, and I will see you next time.